Progressive Casualty Insurance Company.
Hey, what's going on, crypto people? It is T Crypto Siege with another crazy day. A crazy day in the life of the digital asset space. What in the world? What in the world is going on right now? Bitcoin over 28,000. What? My guy is saying, not my guy Garrett, but another dude of mine. He believed Bitcoin is going to get up to as high as 33,000, 33,000. Okay, cool. I'm look, you know, we told you guys, the Crypto Siege is home. The bottom's not in for us. A lot of people think it's 16,000. I don't think that we're going to have an alt season. All I'm doing is looking at the altcoin dominance or the Bitcoin dominance, and I just don't see it, fam. I just don't see it. I just don't see this bull alt season thing happening. Not with the Bitcoin dominance like it is. You know, and even though our guy blockchain backer, he tracks the dominance, he called the bottom in. He believed that we're in the bottom. So we're going to just see. We'll wait and see. But for me, I don't believe that it is. Look, I'm going to talk about something that I think is big. I'm going to talk about the BRICS and the BRICS Plus nation. I think we got to pay attention to that, right? Because we talked the macro, right? We got level up on XRP. We got to level up on the digital asset space. We got to level up on the global traditional financial market. What's going on? And this BRICS and this BRIC Plus nation thing that's going on is massive, and it will affect it'll affect us here in the States, and it will definitely affect the digital asset space as a whole. It's going to affect everybody. It's a global thing. This BRICS and BRICS Plus thing, it's a global thing. It really is, and we got to pay attention to it. I'm going to wait until we get to the gym, and I'm going to go over some notes that I have, but it's massive in a lot of ways. This gold is a big deal. You know, we say on the channel all the time that look, we recognize that the world, excluding the Western nations, realize that we have got to move from a debt-based economy, right? Debt-backed economy to an asset/commodity-backed economy. That's where we're going. And then you throw on, in addition to that, the transparency that the world has been wanting. Like the world, we are done with this lack of transparency. Not even in the US. We're done with this lack of transparency. The advent of technology and blockchain technology says, yeah, we want to see what's going on. We want to see what's going on. And although it will be limited in terms of transparency, it will be more transparency that we're used to and that we've grown accustomed to. So this asset-backed, commodity-backed economy with transparency. What's going to happen when the BRIC nation says that we got the fact that we have reserves on blockchain? And the amount of reserves and the amount of commodities, whether they be tokenized or whatever it is going to be, is on the blockchain. This is what the BRICS nation is doing. The BRIC nations are saying we're gonna make it transparent. Can you believe it? In terms of the reserves, the BRICS nations transparency, interesting. But that's what they're saying, and the reason why they're looking to move that way is because of the West, more importantly, the U.S. They want to say, we're going to expose the U.S. for what it has been doing. And by the way, it's only us, it's only a few of us in the digital asset space that know anything about the weaponization of the SWIFT system. It's only a few of us in the digital asset space that know about SWIFT and sanctions and how we've weaponized it. They don't report it in a mainstream manner. They don't report it. And I'm telling you, this BRICS and BRICS Plus nations, you got at least 12 nations on a waiting list to apply to join this BRICS nation. You got China making moves. China's making moves and bringing together nations that have been at war with one another for 100 years or more, if not more. Iran and Iraq, Iran and Saudi Arabia, bringing them together and saying we need to work together to come against a nation that hasn't treated you right. Right? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. And that is coming to fruition. And you got China and Russia spearheading the coming together to fight against the Western nation. And the number one nation would be the U.S. and its weaponization. That's why we say on the channel, we say on the channel all the time, read the Confessions of an Economic Hitman, both books 1 and 2. Read them. And it'll help you understand what's going on. Nations are saying they're fed up. They're saying that they are fed up. And they're realizing they're hip to the game now. Think about what's going on to the dollar. Think about what's going on in this country with the dollar, which is the world's reserve currency. What's going on right now? What is the Fed doing to the dollar right now? All right, think about that. And how are these nations, the vast majority of nations, trading their commodities? Their commodity, the thing that's valuable, whether it be wheat or gold or oil or soy or beans, whatever, the commodity, the thing that has the value. They're trading it in dollars. So they're getting think about this. They're getting the dollar and the U.S. is getting the wheat, for example. Think about that. Now, 50 years ago, cool. Because why? The dollar had significant more value. But today, it's lost that value. And in addition to that, it is being intentionally devalued. Intentionally. So in essence, the U.S. is weaponizing the fact of the hegemony that it has. It's leveraging it against other nations because they're saying you can't trade your stuff, the commodity, for anything but the dollar. So think about the nation that's saying, I'm receiving this thing that is losing its value, and I'm giving away the thing that has the value. Whether that's oil or whether that's some other type of commodity. Or right? That's what's going on. And what's really going on is places like, you hear Putin all the time giving his speeches. He's educating the world what's going on. My understanding is that these BRICS plus nations, when they come together, when you get the 12 that's on the waiting list to apply, when they come together, they all that combined number is over 80% of the world's population. And what happens when they decide collectively to walk away from the U.S. dollar? God knows what might happen if China decides that, they're done with those treasury bills. God knows what might happen then. But yeah, that's what Putin is doing. That's what Xi, the dude from China, is doing. Educating the world on the reality of the situation. Guess who's not educated? U.S. citizens. U.S. citizens outside of the digital asset space are not educated, have no clue what's going on, and quite frankly, most don't want to know. So what's going to end up happening? They're going to be not prepared. I was on the gold silver site today, unfortunately got a call to make place orders. You can't order right now because they got the sites down. Realizing that the preparation, one of the preparations is going to be gold. It's going to be gold. Because the idea of perhaps having your value in the dirty, nasty fiat is going to be a challenge. Now, it's probably going to be a transit thing, right? You got to have some gold. You got to have some dollars to get some assets on the cheap. But ultimately, it's about having assets that's going to help you maintain and establish some real wealth. And gold is going to just be one of those, right? It's just going to be one of those. It's going to be one of those. And I'm learning more and more, and I'm leaning more and more towards holding more Bitcoin. Because I understand that the powers that be get that this is going to be that hedge, if you will. And it's this new form of money that a lot of people are going to be hedging against it. And other nations are realizing that their currency is toast. It's toast, toast, toast. And they're going to need a new form of money. This is why other nations are looking to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. So we got to kind of pay attention to that. So yeah, I've been just leaning in more and more and acquiring more BTC. Not because of this technology, not because it's going to be it's going to rule the payments world, but as that new form of money. And the market is what determines it. It's not a crypto YouTuber. It's not an XRP entertainer who determines it. The market determines it. And if the market determines that this Bitcoin thing that just doesn't seem to go away is going to be acknowledged as a safe haven or the new digital gold, that's the market saying it. Can't ignore the market. Can't ignore the market. But in any case, in terms of the digital asset space as a whole, I'm just not sold on, alt season's coming. I just not sold. Not in, it's cool to see it bullish right now, but I'm just not sold on long term, guys. Just not sold on long term. Let me pull out some of my notes that I took today. Very, very, very. I was listening to Andy Sheckman, I believe his name is, and Robert Kiyosaki. Very, very telling stuff about what's going on with the BRICS and BRICS Plus. And the reason we have to pay attention to it, because we have to be prepared. We have to be prepared that if the world decides to walk away from the dollar, we live in here in the U.S. and our primary means, our main currency is the dollar, that the nations are walking away. How are we going to prepare for that? So I found out that these nations, whether it be Venezuela or Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Bolivia, Belarus, their reserves are primarily, 40% Belarus, Bolivia 55%, Kazakhstan 63%, Uzbekistan 65%, Venezuela 82% reserves in gold. We all know about the central banks buying up gold. Now I missed this. I didn't hear this, but apparently the BIS guy in 2019, the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements, the central bank of central banks, said that gold is now money. Said this in 2019, and we're always wondering why these central banks are buying up gold, because the central bank of central banks has said, yeah, this thing is money now. That's why these central banks are buying up the gold the way that they are. And by the way, the BRICS nations and their strategy and game plan is to back these commodities. They're going to commodity-based, right? Commodity-based transparency on the blockchain, commodity-backed, and gold, and backed by gold. So they're moving to an asset-based economy, backed by gold, and they're going to have their reserves or their assets be transparent, where you can see it and know that they're stable. Yeah. So I'm telling you, do your homework on the Belt Road Initiative. It's powerful. The Shanghai Corporation Organization. Remember I told you guys to read the Confessions of an Economic Hitman, books 1 and 2. Level up on the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Cooperation Organization. Which is basically saying, we're going to come together as a nation and do things to mutually benefit each other, which will be the exact opposite of the West, in particular, the U.S., who was only doing things in the best and to benefit their country. That is getting exposed, my friends. That is going to be the rallying cry for these other nations. That's why they're lining up. And I personally think this whole green thing is a way to try to combat the OPEC nations. The OPEC nations are like, we're not trying to go green. Why you got this green thing going on? What is that about? To me, it's a political move. The OPEC nations, like Saudi Arabia, is saying, look, this is our way of life. This is our way of life, and you're trying to take it away from us. This is one of our main sources of income. I've always said I never did understand this whole thing of these governments and or businesses talking about they want to go green because they're concerned. I don't buy that concerned about stuff. I don't buy it. I believe it is a political move. So the Belt Road Initiative essentially is about transporting and access for transportation of goods and services around any Western transportation. There's a Western bridge, and the West owns the bridge and controls the bridge, right? The Belt Road Initiative is about building a bridge to get around the Western bridge for transportation of goods and services. So it could be a bridge, it could be a road, it could be the airway, it could be the waterways. That's what the Belt Road Initiative is. Just a way to transport goods and services around the Western controls, the transportations that the West control. That's what it is. And again, you got the likes of Xi and Putin sounding the alarm of what the West is doing and has been doing. And nations are waking up. This recent move to pull out by this current administration out of Afghanistan really woke up Saudi Arabia to the real deal. We're cool until we're not cool. Think about that. Pulled out of Afghanistan, and what happened? Signed a military agreement for protection with one of the lead nations, Russia, in the BRICS nation. That's trouble. That is trouble. It's trouble for people who live here, us citizens. It's big time trouble for what's going on. And the U.S. has been slow to pivot, I think. What's the only alternative, the only shot that they may have, the U.S. may have, is the IMF / World Bank. That's the only shot. There's something can happen in the SDRs. That's the only shot. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. Right now, the U.S. has a little bit of the weight in that, but the ideology of a nation saying we're going to do everything we possibly can to better our nation to the demise of other nations, that is over, because their eyes are woke. They're wide open to what's going on. And Putin and the dude from China are sounding the alarm. And that's big trouble. That is big trouble. When you got people in the States saying that what we've been doing, how we've been weaponizing the hegemony and the fact that we have the world reserves currency and utilizing SWIFT to weaponize nations and sanction them, when we start saying it, those other nations are really waking up to it. So it's big time trouble. How do you prepare? I think you got to have more gold, have more silver, have more Bitcoin. And obviously, the crypto Caesar's home believes you got to have digital assets. For sure. for sure. But my thing is, I guess if the central banks in the world are supplying up with gold, there's a reason for it. And if there's a gold reset and they reprice it, what is the regular citizen doing about that? How is the regular citizen preparing for something of a reset of gold? Because the central banks apparently are preparing for it. A possibility of a reset. So that's it, guys. I wanted to bring that to you. It's just some very, very interesting times for sure. But we all have to be prepared. We all have to be prepared. This BRICS and BRICS Plus thing, massive. Google the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, level up about it, because it's going to be massive. And the Eurasia Economic Union as well. What's the plan? What are they looking to do? How can you, as the average Joe, average Jane, how can we prepare for things like this? Right now, I'm leaning on more gold, more of the asset Bitcoin. That's what we're doing in the Crypto Seizures Home. All right, guys, look, I'm going to wrap it up. This has been your XRP Ripple Daily News in around 0 to 10 minutes. I hope it has been of value to you. If it has, do me a favor, hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the hangout. And don't forget to ring the notification bell so you know whenever we go live or whenever we upload a video. It's been a really cool hangout, and great. Hit that gym. I appreciate you guys hanging out with the Crypto Seas. Again, don't forget to hit that like button, and please consider subscribing to the channel. I'll talk to you soon, guys. See ya. Bye.